I'll call the council work session May 5th, 2025 to order at 6 p.m. and ask the secretary to call the roll.
Council President Briggs.
Here.
Councilor Blosser.
Here.
Councilor Fitzgerald.
Here.
Councilor Jantz. Councilor Schilling.
Here.
Councilor Shane.
Here.
Councilor Spivey.
Here.
Councilor Barrientos is excused.
First thing on the agenda, only thing on the agenda is fire department annual report.
Thank you, Mayor Slack. So I'll invite our fire and EMS chief, April Wallace, up, and she will give her annual report.
That on, Kim? There we go. Okay, good. Thank you, Mayor, councilors. I'm going to present to you tonight our Dallas Fire and EMS annual report for the year 2024. So just a little overview of some of the services that we provide. Obviously, fire protection for structure, mobile property, brush, and wildland. We provide advanced and basic life support. With the paramedic and EMT level, we recently added the addition of advanced and intermediate to those EMS certifications as well. We provide a light rescue. We just completed a ropes class, so we'll be able to do more of that feature too. So low angle vehicle extrication, our department is world known for its extrication. We recently were working with DPSST to provide extrication training across the state.
Could you explain to me, since I'm not a subject matter expert, what low angle refers to?
So anything that would be, and I don't know the exact foot as far as the height, but like I'll give you an example. Falls City Falls. That would be considered a low angle rescue. We had a horse that was in a small ravine. That would be a low angle rescue. A high angle rescue would be something off of like the top of the courthouse building. We're not quite there yet. We also provide, like I said, extrication training and industrial rescue, which would be like if our mill was in operation. We have several seed manufacturing areas around this, vineyards that we would also help assist our mutual aid partners with as well. We also conduct interfacility transfers, emergent and non-emergent. And what an interfacility transfer is it's from a hospital to a hospital. A lot of our patients at West Valley Hospital need to go to another facility for a higher level of care. Sometimes that's Salem, sometimes that's going to be Portland, Eugene. It just depends on what the service is needed. We provide public assist, so we have alarms, lift assist, lockout, trapped animals, basically anything that requires a level of problem solving. A lot of times we have people that call 911 and they're not really sure what to do, and the fire department gets dispatched. We have a lot of problem solvers, so that makes it very helpful.
Carry can openers?
Actually, we do. But we try to, that would be probably a level of service that we would have to have a teaching moment for that individual if that needed to have that. We provide prevention. We have a community risk reduction program. Most recently, we've added fire pre-plans. We help with safety inspections and also inspections with Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office. We accompany them on quite a few of their business inspections, school inspections, that kind of thing. School and station tours, community events, social media, and we are also part of the development review team. We offer a fire med program for people who live within inside the city limits and people who reside within our ambulance service area. I do not. I'll back up a little bit. So a portion of our ASA went to Southwest Polk Fire District. And so we're having to navigate some of those members to where they're actually in Southwest Polk's service area, and having to figure out where those boundary lines are for them. I want to say it's somewhere close to about 1,300 members. It's significantly more this year than it has been in years past. And I think that was just due to advertising. We ran a pretty robust advertising campaign for FireMed. The addition of our executive assistant was very helpful. And then also our billing company, because they also help provide notices for renewal. This year, we added the addition of a card that will be mailed out to our members to let them know that they're actually enrolled in FireMed, and then just a reminder that October is open enrollment. So I'm hoping that we'll see a few more numbers in next year's enrollment. So moving along to our fire equipment, is our apparatus list. So our fire suppression units, we recently acquired a 2024 Spartan engine, and that was solely from ARPA funding, and we greatly appreciate the allocation of that money to that engine. It replaced our 1995 Pierce. I did make a little side note that the NFPA recommends that apparatus greater than 15 years old that have been properly maintained and that are still in serviceable condition be placed in a reserve status. And after 25 years, a fire apparatus should be retired. Our 1995 Pierce was approaching 30 years. So having it replaced was a significant benefit to our department and our community. We have a 2015 Pierce. We have a 2003 Pierce aerial ladder truck. And again, that's one of those units that eventually we're going to need to look for some funding opportunities, whether that be a bond, grant funding, just because we're going to be getting larger buildings in our area, anywhere from 4 to 5 stories. And then also the addition of multifamily units. More apartments are being built, and there are a greater quantity of those units. Some communities, from the research that I've done, have been able to receive funding opportunities from developers. It seems that developers want their investment protected as well. So
This is really making me feel my age, because I remember how excited and thrilled we were when that 85-foot aerial ladder truck was brand new.
and that was purchased, just for your information, for $700,000. In order to replace that right now, we're looking at probably about $2.3 million. And it's also a lead time of 3 to 5 years. So it takes a long time to get this equipment. When we ordered the 2024 Spartan, it was on a pre-built chassis. And there was several designs that we could choose from, but we needed something, and we needed it fairly soon. The build out time for that was about a year, which we were very fortunate for. But again, it was a prefab chassis that was already ready to go. We just made it ours. Yes, sir. The 95 is still sitting in our station. I will be working with our attorneys to get it to another fire district that's in need of a newer engine.
Still use it?
Absolutely. Our fleet, I have to give kudos to our fleet maintenance. They do a wonderful job with getting our apparatus serviced on a routine basis, and making sure that whenever there's any kind of issue, they're on top of that. This particular fire department also contracts services with our fleet maintenance, and so it'll still be maintained the same. It is almost 30 years old, but you also have to understand that it is incredibly reliable. When you look at technology, it doesn't have all the electronics that our newer apparatus has. So I would say it's pretty dependable for its age.
Just to follow up on that question and to maybe clarify the question in Larry's mind. So we had to replace the 95 because of the NFPA standards, because of the size of our city and the people that we serve, right? The jurisdiction that we'd be giving it to is significantly smaller than us, and so the standards are different based on the number of people they're serving in the community and the size like that. So that's why we're able to give our engine that wasn't suitable for us to a smaller agency that can still use it and not be subject to those same standards.
Am I right in thinking that the composition of our fleet can affect people's insurance rates?
I would need to look into that. I'm not entirely sure about that. we look into our 2017 Dodge brush truck. We've added that to our fleet to help with those light rescues, emergency calls that are maybe out in a rural area that our engine cannot reach, or if the inclement weather dictates us not driving our fire trucks around town. It's also seen several conflagrations across the state, so we're pretty fortunate to have that. We've outfitted our pickups to be incident command units. We recently added a 2024 Ford F-250 to our fleet. That was part of our CIP project. We have a 2018 and two 2012s. Our support units, we have a retired medic unit that we use for our support unit. And when I say support unit, it's meant for long duration events where we have our support volunteers provide air rehabilitation for our firefighters, a change of clothing, snacks, water, that kind of thing. This unit goes out to, if we have a fire that's going to be any duration of time, our support members also are EMRs, so they're able to check the blood pressure, the temperature, and the pulse rate of our firefighters to make sure that they're able to go back into their firefighting activity and not have a medical issue. And all of that is equipped inside that retired ambulance. And then we recently acquired a 2008 Tahoe from the police department that is now our chaplain vehicle. So now I'm going to talk about our ambulances. So I didn't add this on here, but our 2023 Ford F-450 was also an ARPA purchase. We received that the spring of 23. We have 2019 Dodge, 2016 Dodge, and a 2003 International, which we like to refer to as Big Red. In your packet and on the slide, you'll notice that I have mileage that's attached to that. That mileage was from last week, so it's increased since then. At 200,000 miles, medic units should be removed from being in a first out to a reserve status. Again, I have to give huge kudos to our fleet maintenance for constantly maintaining these vehicles and making sure that they're running, their fluids are good, that everything is up to standard. We have some options that we can look at as far as what we can do with these vehicles once they've reached that mileage. A lot of it could be reboxing or remounting, keeping the same unit, the same box that's on that ambulance, but just replacing the chassis. And just so you are aware of how much we travel, in 2024, we went to Salem 2,364 times. This works out roughly to 6.5 trips to Salem a day. And the mileage on that, so I'll give you 2 points. We do a lot of interfacility transfers. So from Salem Hospital, or excuse me, from Dallas Hospital to Salem Hospital, 16 miles one way, so 32 miles. For a round trip for that entire year, 70,000 miles, 648. So quite a bit. We drive a lot. And that's just the transports to Salem. That doesn't include the transports that we do to other hospitals that are outside our area. Last year, we went to Portland, Eugene, Corvallis, McMinnville, those hospitals 121 times, but we also go to West Valley a lot too. So you have to think about what our service area is in town and outside in the city limits. We went to West Valley Hospital 690 times.
6 times a day average to Salem. This could take us down a different rabbit hole, but why so many? Is the West Valley facilities not capable of handling?
Oh, no, I'm not trying to take away from the work that West Valley Hospital does at all. A lot of times we have patients that just immediately need a higher level of care, whether it be that their age, maybe they need to have surgery, imaging could be down, or they're just very sick. If there's considered, if it's suspected that the person is having a cardiac issue, they need to immediately go to Salem. A stroke issue, immediately to Salem.
What's that call?
The doctors.
Doctors do.
And to be honest, sometimes on scene. If we're on scene of a patient who just is sick and really needs to have advanced care, we have the ability to go to Salem Hospital. And I don't want to take away from our West Valley Hospital. They do a wonderful job there. But sometimes we do have patients that just need more services than what West Valley can handle.
Seems like, has there been any discussion with this West Valley about expanding and providing a higher level of service as our town grows and our ambulances are making more trips to Salem all the time?
Yes, that has been a discussion, but that's something that's just going to continually be in the works. So, and so West Valley is also part of Salem Health. And so there are quite a bit of their staff that go back and forth from the two facilities.
I attended their conference last year, and it is in their works, but it's a long-range plan to increase the facilities here. We did just increase from 6 beds to 26 beds, I believe. So that makes some more surgeries available here, not quite as many transfers, but 26 beds is still small.
Well, and the 26 beds is actually, they're a med-surg unit, so they're not actual emergency room beds. So we do see a lot of patients that come from Salem Hospital here to recover, but typically we don't see those patients out unless there's a pretty significant issue and they're sick and they need to go back to Salem Hospital.
April, forgive me for not knowing this, but are we compensated for those transfers?
Yes.
Is that at a loss?
No. Well, yes and no. It just depends. And I know that that's a terrible answer.
No.
We do have, so people have private insurance. There's also Medicare, Medicaid. We participate in GEMT, which is the Ground Emergency Transportation Program, right? Which we do see reimbursement for that money that is not paid up front. It does take a little bit of time to get it back, and there's a little bit of work on our end as far as statistics and billing information that we need to send in. But we do see a return in that. We do have, for our area though, we do have a high rate of Medicare and Medicaid patients, so.
Well, that's just demographics. That's, yeah.
I'm going to add one more thing. So again, we benefited from our ARPA funding. And in the fall of 25, we will be receiving a new ambulance that will be outfitted specifically for interfacility hospital transfers. Right now, we currently use Big Red, the 2003 International. The mileage is low, but it's an older vehicle. This new ambulance will be outfitted, if need be, for 911 calls as well, so it will be available for that, but its specific function will be those interfacility hospital transfers. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a comparison. So this is what our personnel flow chart looked like last year. You can see that we have a few places that we were lacking in, and we also didn't pair out the actual paid staff on that chart. And then looking at the 2024-25 chart, it looks a little different. So we changed the administrative assistant to an executive assistant. We also added the fire prevention officer, which is our fire marshal from Polk County Fire District Number 1 that we have an IGA with. The addition of our training division chief, that was my previous position. We did not have a training chief, so we combined those two positions. We have A shift, B shift, and C shift shift captains. The FTE is full-time employee, and the FSE is part-time employee. We changed Kim Storm, she division chief of EMS, to an EMS manager, which is more appropriate for her position since she does not supervise anybody, but anything that is related to EMS, training, supplies, reporting, which is a substantial amount. She is the person that handles all of that. Just to give you a number for our staff, we have 4 administrative staff, 16 full-time line staff, 18 part-time staff. When you look at our volunteers, we have 15 suppression, 6 support, 5 chaplains, and then the contracted position with the fire marshal. For Polk County Fire District number 1. So transitioning to a true combination department, however, we still significantly rely on our volunteers, especially with how busy we are. This year, we're working on a program to have our volunteers who are trained to be EMRs to assist with EMS calls. And what they would be doing is they would be providing assistance with lift assist and then an extra set of hands when our mutual aid partners need to respond to our area to handle our calls for assistance. We're also looking at this as an opportunity to be able to use it as a recruiting tool for new volunteers who are looking into getting into fire and EMS specifically. So moving on to our accomplishments. Again, we're fully staffed. Prior to 2023, we had essentially part-time firefighters. They were 12-hour shifts, and they were pretty much just dedicated to the fire engine. At this point, we've transitioned all of our staff to firefighter EMT or firefighter paramedic. So regardless if they're in the ambulance or in the fire engine, they can do all the things. Some of them at a little bit of a higher level, but that includes our part-time employees as well. Everybody has the same requirement for training, and everybody has their assigned job that they do once they come onto shift. Everybody works a 48-96 minus our part-time people. We're going to be transitioning them to a 24-hour shift. Right now they work 12, but for the cohesiveness of the shifts, it's better for them to work at 24. We reorganized our administrative staff, like I explained before, our training, recruitment, retention division chief, which was my previous position, plus the addition of the training officer, the EMS manager, and the executive assistant. We implemented for the first time an actual structured field training program for our people who are new hires. If you've changed certification levels, if you've gone from an EMT to a paramedic, but we also have this for our part-time folks as well. We've never had a training program for our part-time people up until just recently. We've standardized the training for career and volunteer members. Everybody has the same training straight across the board, regardless if you're a volunteer or a paid staff. We implemented onboarding for an orientation for our new employees to be more consistent with making sure that everybody's getting the same information. We held a firefighter academy for our single roles. We had several single role employees that were just EMS only. And when we transitioned everybody to the firefighter, paramedic, EMT, these individuals wanted to be a part of that. So they focused on an entire month of training for the firefighter academy. We held 2 recruit academies for volunteers where we've had 8 successfully complete that program. We hosted a multi-agency training burn where we invited Polk County Fire District number 1, Falls City, Southwest Polk, and ODF to participate. And then we assisted for the first time ever with Dallas High School for the CTE EMR program.
Received.
The EMR program?
Yeah.
Wonderful. In fact, we've captured 2 of their students to be volunteers. We did find some areas of improvement. It is an incredibly long class to teach in the period of time that they dedicated for it. I think next year I'm hoping they will bring it back next year, but we're looking at maybe implementing some time at our station too, to be able to continue on with what these students have learned. And then the other thing that we learned too is that there is a cost for them to receive their license for that. So we may look at some opportunities for a scholarship for them to be able to receive their EMR certification. We saw the arrival of our new engine, replacing the 29-year-old engine. We outfitted 2 of our vehicles to be proper command vehicles. We responded on 10 conflagrations across the state. I put a little asterisk for California. That happened in early January of this year. Our transfer medic handled 689 transfers out of the 1,153, and we ended the year with 5,518 calls for service, 21 of them being fire-related, 79 being EMS-related. We continue to participate in the GEMT CCO program for additional Medicare Medicaid reimbursement, and we celebrated the 100th birthday of our oldest engine, the 1924 Stetch, which was purchased for $7,000.
A lot of money in the 1920s.
Back then it was. So some of our statistics that I have here. Fires, it's kind of self-explanatory. Hazmat, service, which you might want to know what a service call is. So 347 times we responded to a person in distress, a water problem, an odor of smoke, an animal rescue, unauthorized burning, or standby. The good intent, when you look at those, it's a little bit higher. And that's essentially going to be a controlled burn. Sometimes people mistake steam for smoke, or it's a dispatched while canceled en route where the issue has already resolved itself. We had false alarms, which you could look at it 2 different ways. Either the alarm did what it was supposed to do, people burn toast, their fire alarm goes off, we respond. Somebody pulls the pull station at one of the schools or one of the facilities that have that, the alarm is doing what it's supposed to do. Sometimes we do go to faulty alarms, but most of the time when you see that, the alarms are working properly. And then we had one special event. I wanted to know what that was specifically. Apparently somebody had called, again, here's one of those times where people call us when they don't really know what to do. They'd spilled water on a charging station, and they were concerned that it was going to cause a fire. So we responded to their residents. That was pretty much it. I thought that was kind of interesting. So we'll look at some of our statistics for property involved incidents. The total value of the property that we responded to, $7,940,000. When we dug into this a little bit more, it was the fire at Dallas Retirement Village that we had over the summer where our Arborvitae had caught fire. So that we would say that that is successful because that's the amount of property that we actually saved. And when you look at the lost property, it's $306,500. And then when you look at 2023, it was double that. But then you have to think back in 2023, we had 2 fully involved house fires in one day. And that does create a pretty significant loss. Yep. 5th of July, excuse me. So I added a mutual aid provided, so that's us going to another fire district. We did that 387 times. Mutual aid received, which is any fire district in our area coming to us for mutual aid. They did that 505 times. It's difficult for us right now to collect the data to know which units responded because that's their data and we would have to do a data request from them. However, Brian Nordyke, he's our training division chief, just attended a class at our communications center, Willamette Valley Communications. And he took 2 days in class to learn how to be able to extract actual call data because we have what's called zones and different responses. And so he was able to work through this training. He'll be able to collect a little bit more accurate data. So hopefully next year when I make this presentation, I can actually tell you who responded and how often. We responded to 10 conflagrations. So a conflagration is where an area has exhausted all of their fire resources and they ask the state for help. So the governor declares a state of emergency and the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office enacts a conflagration. And we're a part of that response.
That 10, the number of states of emergency that was declared, or the number that we were involved in directly?
That was the number that we were involved in. There were many times that we had to turn them down just due to staffing. We had several people that were out on leave over the summer. In fact, one of our captains is trained to be on the incident management team, but because we lacked staffing, he wasn't able to participate in that. So the greater need was for him to be here. And then when you think about if we ever needed assistance, we certainly would want those people to come help us. So we try to make sure that we can do that for them. And that includes, I'll talk about our training a little bit. So that includes getting our volunteers trained to be able to make those responses as well. So how and how much we train. So 1,248, we have regular drills, our recruit academy, driver operator, CPR instruction, wildland firefighting, and probationary firefighter training, which is that 1 year of their probation time. And then when you look at the overall training for all of our members, 3,618 hours of training, which is just extraordinary when you think about 16 of those people are volunteer. And we have in-house training and online training. The online training has gone down significantly because we are doing a lot more in-house training. COVID kind of hindered us from being able to train in person, but we're bringing that back again. You're looking at our EMS statistics, 4,478 for our total call volume for EMS. They're broke up into different priorities. Priority 1 and priority 2 are those ones that are emergency type calls. And then the priority 3s and 4s would be, hey, I'm sick, or a lift assist, those kind of things. And then again, there's the transfers from West Valley Hospital. So this is something that I'm extremely proud of. It's our statistics for times. The average shoot time, when we say shoot, it's your time in the piece of equipment and out the door. When you look at our EMS times, 1 minute and 23 seconds is the average for getting out the door, and the response to get to those areas is 6 minutes and 52 seconds. 66% of the time, we required lights and sirens. The average transport time is about 18 minutes, and the average turnaround time is 40 minutes. And that's going to depend on, obviously, which hospital they take the patient to and the wait times at those hospitals as well.
Discussion the ongoing discussion we've been having about about a new police station. One of the points that comes up a lot is this central geographical location. Is it your sense that having your department physically located where it is contributes to the ability to do numbers like that?
I'm going to tell you, having people there 24 hours a day is what's doing this, because they're there. And I'll give you a comparison here in just a second. And then our Engine 101 times, right? So we're looking at the average time for them to get out the door is 1 minute, 40 seconds, and it's for fire calls only. So think about this. So their average response time to get out the door on a structure fire, before they even hop into the fire engine, they're dressed fully and ready to go to fight that fire. So you add, them getting ready to go and out the door at 1 minute and 40 seconds, it's pretty impressive. The average response time is 5 minutes, 40 seconds. So I pulled times from, just to give it a little bit more, from 2021, when we were part-time firefighters just during the daytime only, no nighttime firefighters, and our EMS staff was not cross-trained. They were just EMS only. The daytime average was 2 minutes and 35 seconds shoot time, and the nighttime average was 9 minutes and 22 seconds. So when you look at 9 minutes, 22 seconds versus 1 minute and 40, it's pretty impressive. The call volume was also significantly less too. There was 78 for 2024. In 2021, it was 55. So it is. So this one is a little tricky because it's how do our people manage their time? So I took numbers from 2021 all the way down to 2024. This is for EMS only. So 62% of the time, our people are on EMS calls in their work week. They work a 40-hour work week, 48-hour, excuse me. So when you look at the industry standards, I put little asterisks next to two that are important. So you look at the 25 to 35 average utilization, that's going to be what most departments sit at. Most fire departments that are transporting very similar to us. When you look at the optimal utilization, the 55 to 45, that's going to be more of your private ambulance. That's just EMS only. We're at 62% of utilization. So that doesn't include sleeping, eating, any kind of break time. So 62% of the time they are busy.
That's really impressive.
That's like a 15% increase from 2023 to 2024, and that wouldn't be indicative of the full-time staff. The utilization is the utilization, right? So
We're just busy.
why did that go up so high between 23 and 24?
Just our call volume. Our call volume has gone up significantly in the last couple of years, and it's just been a gradual increase. And unfortunately, I did not include the percentage in that. But I want to say the year before, we were just under 5,000 calls for service, and now we're at 55. So the other thing that happened with our department too is we combined two budgets into one. And so we used to have a fire budget and an EMS budget, and last year was the first year that we combined both of those. So if you look at our budget amount for what we started out with and what our actual was, the difference was about $150,000 that we, I guess, saved for the actual budget. But then when you look at the revenue is generated from our ambulance fees, our FireMed memberships, the reimbursement from GEMT, and the conflagration response. And I put the asterisk on the conflagration response because that really truly is not true revenue for us. It's more of a reimbursement for the personnel that we've sent out. The one thing that we do receive payment for is for the equipment. So the minute the equipment leaves the station until it comes back, the equipment is paid per hour.
Backfilling the positions too.
We get reimbursed for those. Yeah. So any personnel that we utilize during a conflagration response, whether it's somebody coming in and working overtime or somebody who's actually out on the fire line, OSFM reimburses us for all of that. So here come our challenges, which I think is probably universal for everybody. Secure funding for the replacement of our aging, high mileage, and I'm going to use this word very loosely, inadequate fire and EMS vehicles. And when I talk about inadequate, I mean the addition of the mid-rise buildings that are going to be coming into our area, and then the increased just multifamily dwellings that are going to be here as well. And then you look at our ladder truck that's 85 feet and aging from 2003. Managing the increasing call volume and the demand for our services, developing a facility to accommodate the growth of our fire department. We got a little creative last year, and this is how we were able to have 24-hour staffing. We used to operate out of two buildings. The EMS operated out of the building on Washington Street, and the fire department operated at the building on Shelton Street. We've moved pretty much all of our operations to the fire station on Shelton, and the sleeping quarters is now the EMS building. If we choose to go, if we end up increasing in numbers, it's going to be a little challenging for where we're going to find sleeping areas. But again, we were the recipient of ARPA funding to be able to fund that EMS remodel. So I'm very grateful to the council, the mayor and city manager for being able to allocate so much money from ARPA funding to help support our department. It really goes to show that we are, just good stewards of that money and good community caretakers. We'll be addressing some recruitment and retention for both our career and volunteer personnel. There is a decrease across the board for volunteerism, and it's not just the fire department, it's in general. And career, COVID really hurt the EMS as far as training opportunities, the paramedic program, but we're seeing an uptick in high school students and other people deciding that they want to look into trades. Fire and EMS is a trade, so we're very fortunate to be able to have that opportunity. Looking at creating a fire inspector position, preparing for upcoming legislative changes related to firefighter clothing and PPE. You may have heard quite a bit about PFAS, which is the material that's in the firefighter clothing and their turnouts that they wear for fires. Turns out that when you are exposed to high temperatures, those things cause cancer. So we're looking at replacing all of our gear as the years go through and budget requirements too. Maintaining crew morale. As we navigate the increasing demands for just the unrelenting calls for service, it's crucial that we prioritize maintaining strong crew morale. And then simultaneously, we also have to continue with upholding the high standards for both fire and EMS skills and their training. So not only are they inundated with these calls, but they also have training that they're required to participate in as well.
Risks for.
That's my notes tell me that I need to tell you some more stuff about those things. And then basically just navigating through billing complexities related to insurance, Medicare, and Medicaid. I kind of feel like these change a lot, and a lot of it is just out of our control. But with the challenges comes opportunities. So we're very fortunate to be the recipient, and I know I'm reporting on 2025, but I think this is pretty exciting. We were the recipient of a seasonal grant through OSFM. So we'll be able to hire some seasonal help through the fire season, which when comes time for conflagration, we'll be able to have those personnel either staff the engine here or be able to go out onto a response. We're looking at some opportunities with community risk reduction programs. Again, the class that our training chief took will be able to help with this, as well as just gathering some GIS data on where we need to focus our attention at in town, whether it be Dallas Retirement Village with Slip Trips Falls, or maybe the retirement community off of Fur Villa on cooking fires, that kind of things, and how to use your appliances appropriately. So there's lots of opportunity there. We also have opportunities with fire prevention, having full-time fire and EMS crews. They're able to focus a lot more on community-related events. We talk about every opportunity that they take when they're at the grocery store, they're getting fuel, getting coffee, having those moments where they reach out to the public and just share some information with them. But focusing on also for us, the residential fire safety, helping create some home safety surveys and having a more structured school presentation. We're going to look at expanding our partnership with West Valley Hospital on interfacility transfers. And this year, for the first time ever, we're in communication with Chemeketa Community College for their fire science students to take them on as interns. We've done paramedic interns, and now we're looking at having the fire science interns as well, which would be probably about 2. We just don't want to bite off more than we can chew at this point. And that's a brand new program for them too, and us. And then lastly, I'd like to work on establishing Dallas Fire and EMS as a regional training center, being able to focus on training opportunities, bringing in instructors. You'll be proud to know that most of our staff are able to teach classes. And so we would be offering classes to other fire districts, or even private organizations to be able to come in. So that is my presentation. Yes.
How is morale and mental health
And mental health.
with our crews?
I think that to be honest with you, I think sometimes they struggle with it. especially with just the high demand for the calls, not being able to sit down and eat a warm dinner, being called in the middle of the night. However, with that being said, they don't complain about it. They know that that's their job, and they truly do have a servant's heart. They're very, I think they're more, they want to help people more than I think they want to take care of themselves, which doesn't surprise me. We try to do things to kind of help boost that. I just had our very first department meeting with our full-time staff. We have not had one of those in a very long time. And I think that was nice to be able to have that open line of communication and cross communication with our crews. They do a very good job of checking in on each other. Our chaplains are instrumental with checking in on our folks. But they're,
Ask, how many chaplains do you have?
we have
right now?
5. And they're very in tune to just checking in on our staff if they notice that something's different. But I also think that we're with each other all the time. And I think when you notice something that's different with somebody on your department, you're having those conversations. But yeah, I'll be honest, sometimes I think it's a struggle for them. They try to manage it the best that they can. They play pickleball, they try to work out, they have shift dinners, that kind of thing.
Because as a manager, I know that you can only have so much out of a person before they crack.
Right.
And I'm very concerned about seeing those numbers. It's incredible that we're at those numbers, but it's concerning also. And I'm glad that you're paying attention to those numbers and bringing them to us so that we know.
That's a good point. The numbers are impressive, but sustaining them raises all kinds of issues.
Yeah, and we also have a good relationship with our mutual aid partners, and we really encourage our captains to pay attention to their crews. If they've ran 20 calls in a 24-hour period, maybe it's time for Southwest Polk to handle a call for us, or Polk Fire District number 1, and they do it. They happily come in and help us because, in my opinion, I think it's more important to take care of our people and make sure that they're getting adequate sleep and taking care of themselves too. You're welcome. Actually, there is.
Other than finding a big pile of money somewhere.
I mean, that would be really helpful, and I'd appreciate that. I was going to bring this up at another time, but I'll just mention it now. Maybe do a ride-along. Maybe come over and work a 24-hour shift and just be a part of it. We do dinner the first Wednesday of every month. It is an open invite. It starts at 6 o'clock. It's usually a delicious meal prepared by our volunteers. Stay for the business meeting if you want. But there are many opportunities, even just stopping in and just letting them know that you're thinking about them. I did bring it up at our staff meeting that was something that I had talked to the city manager about. And they were excited to know that was even a possibility. And then they brought up maybe they should come and be here the full 24. So bring your sleeping bag.
That's right, you don't have any spare beds.
It'll be interesting. We'll make it work. What's that?
Yes, that's a concern, isn't it?
We have 2.
We can figure out something for you.
You put 2 together.
Those bed.
That's a good idea. I think we should all take a look at supporting them a little more by stopping by.
Very good
At least
idea.
saying hi, thank you. Spend
I've
the
done
night.
ride-alongs with the police, but not with fire. That's a very good idea.
So what I would encourage you to do is contact our executive assistant, Melissa. It's going into our busy time where we'll have interns, paramedic students, and EMT students doing previews. So if it is something that you truly desire to do, get in touch with her and we'll get you on the schedule.
It's the first Wednesday of each
The
month?
dinner is the first Wednesday of every month,
At what time?
6 o'clock. And it's this Wednesday.
Other questions for April? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have no other business? We'll adjourn the meeting. We'll be